Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us once again for another Facebook Live session as we talk with a member of our business community who has been incredibly impacted by the events of the last month amid all of the changes related to COVID-19. Hope you all had a great Easter weekend. Thank you for your participation in our survey. I cannot wait to start sharing those results with you. We had fantastic participation in our survey looking at what daily life has been like in Sioux Falls amid the COVID-19 pandemic. So watch for those stories and those results here in the coming week or so. Today, we are going to kick off our week of live interviews with some talk about the tourism industry. So we just posted a story over on Business talking about venues and talking specifically about some of those visitor venues that have been significantly impacted. So we're going to elaborate on some of that. We're going to talk a bit more broadly about the industry. It's Teri Schmidt, the executive director of Experience Sioux Falls, the newly renamed, formerly known organization called the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau. So Teri, I'm going to add you in here. Hello, Teri, and our special four-legged guest. This is how you know it's going to be a good live experience. Who are we looking at there, Teri, in addition to you?
Well, hi, Jody. Thanks for having me on. This is my 14-year-old blind and deaf dog named Zati. And if he is not on my lap, he will stand next to me and bark time. He is very spoiled, as you can imagine. And as long as I sit here and hold him, he'll sit right here just like this.
Oh, okay. Meanwhile, he can't hear us and he can't see what's going on. So
No,
we'll just
no,
make him feel secure and let him be
yes,
part of the live
yes.
deal. I think that's great. My dog doesn't know what to make of this whole thing. You know, I was in for the day yesterday. I've been really breaking it up between my house and here at my office. But yesterday with that snow and with the holiday, I stayed home all day, and I think she's recovering today. They're exhausted having us around all the time. So your little guy looks like he is as well. Um,
He's okay. He's okay as long as there's not a lot of action in the house
yeah.
because can't hear and can't see. It makes him pretty nervous, but he's pretty happy right now.
Okay, he looks content.
Yes.
Viewers, if you have questions for Teri, she's agreed to take those throughout our Q&A session here. So go ahead and put those in the comments. If you know somebody else that you think is connected to the visitor industry or would like to hear about what's being experienced there, why don't you go ahead and tag them in the comments too, or share this feed on your page so that hopefully we can help get the word out about what is happening in our visitor industry, because oh my goodness, Teri, you know, I've been doing some reporting on this. I mentioned we had a story out already earlier today, and it's unlike anything even people who have been in this industry their whole career have seen. I mean, you've been in it decades now. I mean, from where you sit, talk to me a little bit about the landscape as it exists today in tourism for the Sioux Falls area.
Well, you're right. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. I've been doing this for 36 years and I have never seen anything like it. Uh, the situation with the hotels, as many, many other industries, is heartbreaking. We were off to a good year. Things were going well, and then this hit. And, we're looking at in the 80 percentiles of being down in business in Sioux Falls. The highest I have heard from a single hotel is that one night, 2 weeks ago, they sold 20 rooms and they were ecstatic. That was 2 weeks ago. Think of what's taken place with the COVID-19 since then, how much worse it's gotten. Um, Many of them are fearing, are we going to be able to hang on, especially the smaller hotel properties, even the larger properties, or any size business. How long can you keep going with no income?
Right. I mean, you have.
Yeah, and if they don't have people in the hotel rooms, their restaurants aren't busy if they have a hotel, or even throughout the community, then that rollover. But the landscape for the hotel facilities right now is very, very tough.
Yeah, I've
And
talked to several operators, you know, in the last week. I'm still talking to them. We have a story
mhm.
coming on that, and I mean, these are tough conversations. It's really dire, and I think most of them are going to be getting some help. I mean, they think that they're eligible for the relief programs that are out there, but those dollars aren't flowing yet for the most part, as far as I know. So, I mean, in the meantime, they're just trying to tough it out, and boy, it's really really difficult.
Sadly, too, many of the hotel facilities, from small to large, have had to furlough the majority of their employees. And so you're finding the managers, the salespeople, cleaning rooms, if they have a restaurant, doing whatever they need to do in the restaurant just to keep the business open.
Right.
And, we try in our industry, a lot of the hotels work with us on sales, and we try to continue to be selling so that when this dark cloud passes, we're ready to roll.
Right.
And, some of them are still doing that, but at the same time, they're cleaning rooms.
Well, and like you said, okay, if there are people not staying in these hotels, not only are they not eating at the hotel restaurants or drinking at the hotel bars,
Mhm.
they're not out and about. I'm looking out my window at Phillips Avenue right now. You know, first of all, many of these stores aren't even open, right? But even if they were, I mean, that visitor traffic isn't there. There aren't people to be spreading those tourism dollars within the community. So the ripple effect is gone too. And that's where I look at these venues, you know, places like the Pavilion, the Butterfly House, the zoo that we talk to as part of this. And I really feel for them because, you know, a hotel might only be at 20% occupancy, but I mean, there's somebody coming in the door. In the case of these venues, they're all but shut down.
Right.
What do you think about how they're trying to adapt? And I mean, they've obviously got some staff still on board, which is good from an employment standpoint. And those people who are there have to be caring for animals in some cases, right? And they seem like they're doing the best they can to try to at least bring a bit of that experience virtually to people who, frankly, are at home looking for things to do.
I think, yes, and I think that those facilities, the attractions, et cetera, are doing everything they can, from top to bottom. They're working so hard to make things continue to go. And, the Jazz and Blues Society, just I saw on Facebook a little while ago now, is going to do some virtual concerts. The Butterfly House is a good example of being on Facebook a lot and trying to utilize social media to stay out there. But, when people don't come to visit, oftentimes they think are really the number one profit center for visitors. That's not always true. The hotels get the people who stay overnight, but so many people come to Sioux Falls to eat, to go to an attraction, an event, or an activity. They may or may not stay open. The food scene has been huge. The number of people who come here to eat in Sioux Falls, South Dakota is incredible. And those people are hurting so badly. The retail industry, so many of them this last week, I'll bet I had, I don't know, several emails saying, we now really get the impact of the visitor industry in Sioux Falls
Yeah,
because nobody from out of town is coming into our
right,
places of business.
right.
Now we really get what you've been saying about what if.
Right. And it's not just those out of state groups. I mean, we know that there's a bunch of visitor business from within this immediate area, within the state of South Dakota, within the surrounding region here that comes into Sioux Falls every single week, and they are eating at the restaurants. They are supporting the retailers, and we absolutely are feeling that. Listen, I don't blame you. It doesn't make sense if you live outside of Sioux Falls, you know, maybe to come in at this time. You're probably not going to get, maybe you're going to get your food to go from a restaurant here and drive it an hour home. Good for you. We thank you if you
Yeah,
are, right? But let's
yeah.
be realistic here. You know, I don't know that that's going to happen. And even after things begin to open up, I mean, I think we're going to see people continue to be cautious, I suspect.
I suspect so.
I want to call out Terry mentioned Jazz and Blues. Yeah, good job, guys. I'm going to read this right off of their press release that the Jazz and Blues Society is launching the virtual concert series starting on Thursday every week. So how fun! First performance is going to be this coming Thursday night from 7 to 8 at night, featuring Elizabeth Hunstad. So great job, guys. Way to think differently. I'm going to
Mhm.
be listening in on that. Even if hey, I'm probably still working. Let me be honest. At 7 o'clock at night on Thursday, I'm
Right.
probably still working. But you're going to be my background entertainment while I'm doing that. So Appreciate that. We need that, don't we, Terry, to just break it up and remind us that there's still a little bit of normalcy out there in the community.
Oh, we do need that. And music is such a wonderful way to spend some time. It's kind of relaxing, get your mind away from all the worries that we all have today. There's a lot of those things getting out there. I see that Sanaa from Sanaa's restaurant is doing belly dancing lessons on Saturday evenings at 7.
Oh my.
And I know she's gained quite a following. And now with jazz and blues and some of the other, like the Butterfly House doing some of their things. I think that's good. We need that. We stay in touch that way. It helps us all keep going. And I know when this dark cloud lifts, that we're all going to be right out there eating again and going to those places and supporting those who have made it through this.
But, if
it's important.
If you have kids too, I will draw your attention to what the zoo is doing and what the pavilion are doing. Zoo's got some great animal videos out there. Their trainers are out really showing you. You feel like you're standing right there. They're doing some cool enrichment activities and some fun things with the animals. So check that out if your kids are bored and just need something new to watch. And then the pavilion has some great content, from movies online to science experiments to art projects. I mean, I'm so impressed with how they have pulled this library of content together so quickly and with such great variety. I mean, good for you guys, everybody that's trying to make that happen. And don't forget to support them. I mean, they will take a donation anytime if you feel moved, if you're really able to gain some value based on that content that they're putting out there. That would just be a really nice way to show support. Are there any other venues out there, Terry, that you've seen doing creative things that I maybe haven't touched on?
Those are the ones that I see the most often, that I'm seeing on social media. I'm sure there are probably more. I would check people's websites, stay on Facebook, and check it out and see what's happening. But those are the ones that I know, most of. Everybody's trying to get creative and do things, right down to the restaurants and their delivery and pickup.
Right.
You've got to think out of the box a little bit and do some of those things. And one of the biggest reasons to do those and keep your face out there is because when people do decide to travel, and I think they will, because the love of travel never ends. People want experiences. If you've been socially active when I say social media active, you will be front and center in their minds when they think of, oh, we should go to the zoo, we should go to the pavilion and see that. Because we saw it on the website or we saw it on Facebook. Now let's go do it. So it's important, and we have to support our local people. We have to keep these places going. They're working so hard to keep things afloat, and we need to support them.
They sure are. And thanks to those of you who supported the restaurants over this past weekend too. Some of those Easter meal orders just went fantastic. And that's thanks to you guys deciding to give them your business. And I just really appreciate that. And I know the folks with Experience Sioux Falls do too. It makes a big difference as a business owner to know that your customers are continuing to support you, even though things have changed so much. Just makes such a difference. Terry, are you hearing, we had talked to Nancy over at the Leavitt for this venue story. I can't wait for the Leavitt to be back. It was, such a good time. We were supposed to have our full lineup of concerts this year. I really feel for them because what do you do? I mean, I can't tell you what May is going to look like, right? I mean, do you know where they're at in their decision making, or is it just too hard to say?
I think it's too hard to say right now. They all are doing what we're all doing. Waiting day by day. Who knew 2 days ago that the governor was going to announce what she did today, or that the mayor was going to announce what he did today? We don't know what announcements might be tomorrow. We don't know the growth of the virus for sure. We don't know when we're going to peak. All those things make a difference. Whether the Leavitt is obviously has a quality experience to offer, and there they sit not knowing whether to move forward or not. The soccer people with the soccer program for all the kids, here they are sitting without able to start the rec program, or are they going to have their tournaments? Softball and the list goes on of activities and events throughout the summer. Your heart breaks for those people because they work so hard to get these things booked, and now here we sit with majority of them canceling, and some of them hanging on, waiting to see, and we just don't know.
You guys have a lot to do, obviously, at Falls Park with the visitor center. That's one of those places that is still open. Do you know how that's going? I mean, I feel like the parks are so popular, but are we able to keep enough distance there? Has that been any kind of an issue yet?
I haven't heard that it's an issue at Falls Park. Our visitor center is closed. We are not able to keep it open through this time, but I have not heard of any problems of overcrowding or the distancing at the park.
Have you? Okay, that's good to know. And again, as I'm looking out my window here, I'm inspired on this because I haven't checked yet. But I mean, I have you heard where we're at with sculpture walk installation? We're a few weeks out when that would potentially happen. Have you heard anything yet?
Not anything, not anything new.
Okay.
I know they were going to possibly delay it, and I haven't heard anything new. But gosh, that's just around the corner.
I'll check in on that because I mean, what a nice addition that would be if we could maybe get some new sculptures downtown and people could safely at least walk around and check those out.
Yeah.
That might be really good for the community, but I just don't know the logistics involved in that. So we'll check.
I wonder, I wonder if they'll try to go ahead and put up the new sculptures.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll check. I mean, usually that would be that first weekend in May, I
Yeah.
think.
Yes.
Like when farmers market would typically open, and all of that. So,
Hmm.
and boy, that's
Hmm.
another one, Terry. They've done a good job adjusting farmers market by adding that
Yes.
pickup option and that online ordering. It was really nice to see that.
Yes. Smart thinking on their part.
hmm I do want to talk. You mentioned briefly about continuing to sell, and I think that's an important point because Terry's organization is responsible for bringing in, major conventions, athletic tournaments, just all kinds of things that create visitor activity. And these things are out of ways. I mean, we ran a story. It's probably been a month ago, Terry, about the senior games coming to town, and it was at 2022. So, I mean,
Hmm.
there are things that are booking. We know that, I mean, even the most conservative projections, I think, have a vaccine coming, in the next year and a half or so. So, I mean, let's hope 2 years out, maybe we are able to really be bringing that visitor industry back. What's that sales funnel look like, and what kind of activity have you guys been doing?
Well, as you know, we had to close our office and we're all working from home. But I'm really, really pleased to tell you that the sales team is working full time at home, still doing selling. They're doing it a different way, though. They're reaching out to all the planners, those who we have worked with in the past, those who were booked for now and had to cancel, and those who we are trying to get to rebook, plus new planners. And they're saying, hey, this is a Sioux Falls Experience Sioux Falls. We're thinking about you during this time. How are you doing? And then getting into the conversation of, um, have you thought about rebooking? We know you had to cancel. Have you thought about rebooking? And having that conversation of continuing that relationship that we've had with those planners. On top of that, they're spending a lot of hours researching new groups so that when this virus goes away or else lessens a bit, they're able to take this list that they put together and start calling on all kinds of new associations that have not been here before, that are going to be looking for those smaller places, the places that are a little bit more open air, open space. And we find that to be an advantage. We're talking to those people. We're looking at the year 2023 is a lot of conversation right now. Not to
Wow.
say that people aren't looking at 2022, 2021, a little bit further out, but we're spending a tremendous amount of time on sales. We've got 5 people still focusing on sales every day.
It's good. That's what you got to do.
Yes,
As like you said, that business will be out there. And fortunately, I mean, I think there's pretty good consensus that domestic travel will come back before
yeah,
international probably does. That's
yes.
historically been what's happened. And the primary visitor traffic to Sioux Falls, of course, is domestic. So I guess we can hope for that, right?
Yes.
Anything else that you think is really something that we should be sharing with people as we look at those immediate impacts here and maybe those longer term impacts on the industry?
Well, I think, one thing would be to know about our advertising. I've been asked this by a lot of people. What are we doing with our advertising? Because this is a time of year when we're really out there,
Right.
going after the leisure travelers and going to trade shows, planning for the future. We have stepped back and said, okay, we can't keep placing the ads we normally would because it's not a normal time. So the ads that were placed and the marketing that was in place prior to COVID hitting are out there. The rest of the advertising has been pulled back, and we're doing a lot of social media because that's the way people are communicating right now. They're not looking at magazines to find out if, who's got the best convention center or whatever. They're looking at social media, finding out what's going on in your location. What do you have that we might be more interested in? What's new? And what's the status of COVID-19? So we're really focusing on social media. I think that's important for people to know.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'll just throw this out there because I think it's critical from a visitor standpoint, from an economic development standpoint. But people are watching. They're watching other communities. They're looking to see how you respond through this pandemic. And the more we can do as a community to do our part to mitigate risk on our own, to try to keep us from becoming more of a hotspot, as they say, to try to underscore the fact that this is a safe place to be,
Mhm.
and that we're taking the right kind of precautions. I feel like that can only help. You don't want to get a reputation as a place that is not a good one to handle this sort of situation. I mean, we know those communities out there around the country that already have that perception of being, places where there's a higher incidence of COVID. So I think anything we can do as a community to come together and to show that this is a good place to be and a safe place to be in the long term, that's only going to
Mhm.
benefit us.
Yes, and that's our message.
All right. Thank you so much, Teri. I appreciate you being with me. Like I said, we've got that story up on the site about venues and how they're adjusting and responding. So do check that out. Lots of good information in there. We will have more coming in the next week or so reporting around the visitor industry, but I wanted to do this quick check in with Teri just to get a sense of the landscape. And of course, we'll continue to stay in touch as all of this unfolds. We'll definitely want to check in probably ahead of that Memorial Day travel holiday, which is going to look a
Mhm.
lot different this year. But Teri, as you said, things are changing by the day. Who knows
Yeah,
what it's going to look like by
right.
then? And wouldn't it be great if we could check in and start to talk about down the road at least getting some things back to operation and hopefully starting to welcome some visitors. So,
Right. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
right?
Better
Yeah,
days ahead.
absolutely. All right. I wish my little dog were as well behaved as that one. He's been a real champ. So you can bring him on live anytime.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Teri. Have a good rest of your day. Take care, and we'll check back in with you again soon.
You as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll continue to check in with you here live throughout the week on Facebook. Very excited about some interviews that we have in the works. Just really broad ranging. We're going to try to check in with business leaders from as many different sectors as we can and bring you lots of different perspectives to try to keep you informed about the many different ways that this pandemic is affecting our community. If there is anyone that you would like to hear from, if there are any questions that you have, happy to reach out on those. So send us a message, comment below, and we'll do our best to get you some answers. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, and we will be back in touch with you soon.